Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. Today I'm going to go through the Favored Soul Beacon of Hope tree. This is the brand new Favored Soul tree that's focused on buffing and healing. It is not in the game yet, but it will be soon, and the developers posted a preview of the tree, about a week and a half ago. I'm a little bit late in making this video, but about a week and a half ago they posted all the details, so I'm going to go through it. It's very similar in a lot of ways to I would say both the Cleric Radiant Servant tree and the War Priest tree in a lot of ways too, but it's meant to provide healing primarily and some buffing as well, but it's definitely focused on players who want to run a character that's going to be primarily healing in Reaper or in raids, things like that. So it's not a tree that I think a lot of people will be interested in. Probably most people, from my experience at least, want to play Favored Souls as offensive casters. And I will say, and I mentioned this in some of my prior videos, but I've always seen Favored Souls as more of a positive offensive, positive like light caster tree, more of an offensive class, and I've seen Clerics as more of the defensive healing class. So I actually would have liked to see, or what I've stated before in the past is that I would have liked to see a second caster focused Favored Soul tree to provide kind of a different playstyle than the Angel of Vengeance tree provides now. But I understand why they went the route they did. Instead of just locking Favored Souls down to casters and providing lots of different offensive casting options, they chose to instead let you have more of a diverse playstyle. So if you wanted a healer character, you didn't just have to play Cleric. You could also go primarily Favored Soul. And again, not that Cleric's Favored Souls are the only classes capable of healing, but if you want they're the only two classes with a healing focused tree now, I would say. But this tree, after seeing what they've done and what they've decided to do, I actually do like the tree. I think some people will be disappointed just because, again, it's a healing buffing tree, and that just doesn't raise the same level of excitement as a tree that's going to give you all these cool new DPS abilities and let you kill stuff and blow stuff up. But it is something that I can see why they went the route they did, and I think for what their design intentions were, I think they did a good job of definitely differentiating this from Radiant Servant. That was the other thing you would be worried about naturally about them introducing a new Favored Soul tree, is them just homogenizing Radiant Servant. Like, oh, let's just give Favored Souls aura and bursts and some general healing abilities and call it a day. That's what I would be afraid of had I known they were going to go this route before a week and a half ago. But I'm glad to see they didn't do that. They did a good job of introducing some buffing and healing abilities in ways that are actually different and unique, and didn't just copy other class abilities. So let's go ahead and go through them. Let's start with the cores. All right, so core 1. For each core you gain, you get a plus 1% positive spell critical chance, plus 10 healing amp, and plus 5 positive spell power. This is very similar to core 1 in Radiant Servant. The more you invest in the tree, the better your positive spell power and healing gets, essentially. It's fine. That's good. It's just incentivizes you to put a little more of an incentive to put more points in the tree. That's fine. No problem with that. Core 2, Beacon of Grace. In this beacon line, runs throughout almost all the cores except for the level 20 core. And you'll see a little bit later when we get into more of it, these things kind of complement each other. So Beacon of Grace costs 2 spell points. You and allies ahead of you heal for 1 point of positive energy per Favored Soul level. This scales with your positive spell power 6-second cooldown. So by ahead of you, and they explain this in the frequently asked questions section, which they posted below this initial post. Again, I'll link all this in the description. But ahead of you, basically, these beacon spells are going to be kind of like a cone. It's going to be kind of like shooting a line in front of you. And they did specifically compare it to Cone of Cold. So ahead of you means kind of in a straight line. So anyone ahead of you in a cone ahead of you is going to heal. So that was a kind of a generic description, but they did compare this to Cone of Cold, so it's going to be that kind of range, I would assume. So that's cool, but as for this ability itself, probably going to be good for low levels, like low heroics, but after that, probably not too great, just because it's not going to heal enough and you have much better healing abilities down the road. So you probably won't use it after low levels, but it's good enough for that, and you might use it at higher levels for just if you have an extra 100 spell points or whatever, that you're missing, you want just something quick to hit, you might use it for that. Or maybe to top people off that are near you. But core 3, Shining Light. Let's move to the next one. Whenever you cast one of your beacons or use Flight of Glory, you and effective allies gain a sacred bonus to healing amp equal to your favorite soul level for 12 seconds. Enemies in the zone of effect are dazed and take a -1 penalty to attack, spot, and search. These enemies are illuminated by Shining Light, dispelling stealth, invincibility, blur, and displacement for 10 seconds, and giving a -40 penalty to hide. Then it says sightless enemies are immune to the dazzle effect. Okay, so a sacred bonus to healing amp. Okay, I guess that's fine. It's always nice, I guess. But generally, as long as you're not self-healing, like in Reaper, there's a self-healing penalty. But generally, when you're healing other people, there's not really much of an issue with healing people to max. Not that healing amp isn't good on some characters, because there are characters out there who don't really stack healing amp themselves. But generally, it's not that great. It's okay, but it is just core 3. But the good thing is, I think that the fact that this dispels things like displacement is pretty nice. That means you might be able to get by without true seeing in certain situations, so that's good. But overall, it's just okay. But it's just core 3. But it's, again, like I mentioned, these beacons kind of stack to each other. So this is just stacking to that. So the more of these cores you take, the better your beacons are going to get. Okay, in core 4, there's another beacon, Beacon of Hope. Costs 15 spell points. You and allies ahead of you take the effects of a Panica and Restoration spell and heal for 5 points of positive energy per favorite soul level. The scales with 100% positive spell power, 30-second cooldown. Okay, I mean, I guess it's not terrible. You can... When people are affected by certain spell conditions, you can, just blast a really cheap restore right here. But again, favorite souls already get the restore spell. I don't know if there's any. I don't run a lot of favorite souls, so I don't know if there's a lot of spell slot restrictions in that area. Maybe this means they cannot take a restore spell. Instead, take another spell instead. For you all who aren't aware, favorite souls are like sorcerers in that they are very restricted in how many spells they can take per caster level. Or per just character level, or just spell level. So, but it's not terrible. Core 5, Flight of Glory. When you use your Leap of Faith, nearby allies gain temporary hit points equal to twice your character level plus an additional 25. Okay, I mean, Leap of Faith, for you all who aren't aware, is the favorite soul run boost. It kind of shoots them forward, so it's nice for zerging stuff. But it gives you some positive spell points. Okay, it's whatever. It's not really that great, but I guess it's something. I mean, getting temporary hit points is never a bad thing. And it's also worth noting that this also activates the Shining Light in Core 3. Because you can see right here on the first line, well, actually, just on the first line of Core 3, it says whenever you cast one of your beacons or use Flight of Glory. So it also does, using Core 4 also activates Core 3. Okay, Core 5. I'm sorry, not Core 5. Core 6, True Res SLA. So that's pretty cool. You get a 25 spell point, 10-second cooldown, True Res, and because it's an SLA, you get free Quicken. So save some spell points. Again, I think you would look at this True Res SLA initially and think it's amazing, but it's really not when you look a little bit closer. It's something. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. It has some perks. It saves you some spell points, but again, favorite souls have a ton of spell points, so I don't think it's that big of an issue. Having to spend a little bit of extra spell points for res. It does have a 10-second cooldown. True Res, typically, according at least to the wiki, I believe normally has a 13-second cooldown, so that's good. But favorite souls already get this as a spell, and I know what everyone will say is that okay, but now they can save a spell slot. So for favorite souls who are at level 20, and because this is a core 6, you will have to be level 20 to take it, because it's the capstone of this tree. So because of that, you'll already be level 20, and you already have 3 spell slots. Now, in the past, this would have been amazing, like 5 years ago, because they would be able to fit in all 3 of their great level 9 spells. They've got Energy Drain, they've got, Implosion, and other people will say, okay, now they have this True Res SLA. They don't have to take True Res as their third their third level 9 spell. They can now take Mass Heal, but the thing is, Mass Heal, it's not good nowadays. It's just not. It was good back in the like Shroud days when raids were designed around kind of healing with Mass Heal, but nowadays it's just, I find it personally to not be that practical these days. It's just too slow. So being able to slot Mass Heal because they have this SLA now, I don't really find it to be that great. Now it's cool, it's nice. I mean, there are certainly certain situations and raids and things where it's really nice to have Mass Heal, but I find that these days those situations are very few and far between. So I'm not sure. I mean, obviously it's really cool to have a true res SLA, and this again is true res, so this brings all of your enemies up to, or all of your allies that you res up to full health, and not just half or a quarter like Raise Dead or the regular resurrection spell would give you. So that's nice. It also gives you some passive bonuses like +4 to charisma for +2 DC, so that's gonna be great for them, and a little bit of maximum caster level for positive spells. But well, it's good. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth taking 20. I assume that if you really wanted a favorite soul just for healing, you'll probably take 20 anyways, because I don't know that there would be too many great aspects to splashing. I mean, I suppose you could go like 3 paladin or something for all the extra saves and HP and stuff, and sacred defender, but I don't know. I think it's good, but it's not like amazing. Not like I don't know that you'll want to go 20 favorite soul just for this. So that's my thoughts on True Res. Good, nice core, but not the best thing ever, like I think some people might think. So let's go ahead and go to tier 1. So Good Hope SLA. It's Good Hope. It's whatever. Skip it. It's just Good Hope's just not that. It's a low level spell. It's just not. It's not that important. I think it's just morale bonuses to a handful of different skills or stats. So it's not. Confidence +3 concentration, diplomacy, and heal. Rank 3, you also gain +10 positive energy spell power. There's a very similar enhancement in Radiant Servant. For this, it's nice. I mean, tier 1, you're probably going to have to put points in just to get up to qualify for tier 2. So, and maybe tier 3. So this is probably the best one in tier 1. +10 positive energy spell power is great. +3 heal is great. Give you an extra 3 positive spell power. So +13 positive spell power. Okay, that's pretty decent for a tier 1. I'd rather spend my points in that than a Good Hope SLA. Divine Durability, +2, 4, 6 competence bonus to PRR. PRR is always great. Probably one of the better ones to take in tier 1, just to qualify for the higher tiers. Spell critical chance positive +2, and this is a enhancement that actually is in every single tier. So there's positive energy critical chance that you can get in each tier, and positive energy is, I don't know that it's that great on a favorite soul. It's a lot better on a cleric, because clerics always have their auras going, and so you can benefit a lot more from those crits. Crits in general for things like the heal spell, not that great because you're already healing enough anyways. So critting on a healing spell isn't like critting on a, say if you crit on a offensive casting spell, it's always amazing, right? Because that's more HP that you're going to bring off an enemy mob, but you can't heal more than someone's max HP with a regular heal spell. So the crits aren't as good. So I don't know how I feel about that. They do have Wall of Healing now, which is an ability I'll talk about later, which is a really, really cool ability and probably the highlight of this tree. But we'll get to that a little bit later. It might help out some with that, but just okay for now. I'm thinking that hopefully it's just one action point for each tier throughout this tree for the spell critical chance. That would make much more sense and make it much more appealing. If it's like 2 or 3, then it's not. I don't think it's going to be worth it. Okay, lastly, we have spell points, 30, 60, and 90. Probably 1 action point per tier. Okay, it's okay. I mean, it's not terrible. I don't generally like dumping a lot of extra AP and extra spell points, because unless you like end up emptying your entire spell point bar, it's just wasted 8 action points. So I would probably rather have the 6 PRR, or definitely the 3 ranks of confidence. Okay, let's move to tier 2, Close Wounds SLA, which is a decent little spell for low levels, but if you don't know what closed wounds is, it's a very fast heal. It's super fast, like probably I would assume the fastest heal spell in the game. It's not a heal spell, but the fastest healing spell in the game, I would say. But it doesn't heal for that much, but it's really, really quick. So good for low levels, but I would skip it because just you're gonna have so many better healing options, especially taking this kind of tree and having all the spells that Favored Souls do as a healing class. If it was like on a classic fighter or something, it would be way better, obviously. Okay, now Hope for Inspiration. Target ally gains a sacred bonus to all skills equal to a fourth of your favorite soul level for 12 seconds, 6-second cooldown. This to me screams, this is a spell I can take if the rogue can't quite disarm the trap, and I can give him a quick skill boost to do so. So that's nice, and it would help with meeting skill requirements for various NPC optionals. So you need a certain, I don't know, haggle skill to open a door in a quest with an NPC, and we see that every so often throughout quests. It would be good for that. But other than that, no, not really that amazing. But it's something, I guess, nice to have. I mean, a fourth of your boosting skills by a fourth of your favorite soul level is pretty nice. So even though it's only 12 seconds, that's okay. That's plenty of time for a rogue to disarm a trap or whatever. So not pretty good enhancement, I would say. Divine Durability 2, just more. The prior tier 1 was PRR. This is MRR. Always good to have more of that. If it makes sense for your action points. Spell critical chance. Again, this is another tier of that. Okay, then Might's Reward multi-selector. This is really bad. You gain a sacred bonus to positive spell power equal to, and you can either choose your strength, wisdom, or charisma modifier. I don't think anyone should take this enhancement, to be honest. It's just not good. First of all, it's a sacred bonus to positive energy spell power based on your strength or wisdom or charisma modifier. So say your strength modifier is, I don't know, plus 20. That's going to be a plus 20 boost to your positive spell power. It's not that good. And also it shares a cooldown with Divine Might. So if you're a melee Favored Soul, it's immediately gonna suck because you need Divine Might on. You want to have Divine Might on as much as possible. So it's just not enough to be worth it, especially since this will be at least 3 action points. It's just not, like, you can already get a ridiculously high positive spell power. You don't need to spend action points on a temporary ability to marginally increase your positive spell power for a small amount of time. That also might take away access to things like Divine Might. So it's just not that great. So I would skip that. I don't think that's a very good enhancement. Let's see. I mean, maybe if you're heal botting or something, but I don't know. It's just not worth it. It's just not enough of a positive energy spell power bonus, and you already have plenty of ways to increase your positive spell power up to what you need it to be at. So tier 3, Hope for Protection. Target ally gains a sacred bonus to PRR and MRR equal to your favorite soul level for 12 seconds, 6-second cooldown. Okay, this is a single ally buff, and what they're going for in this tree, and they explained it a little bit below in this thread. They're going for a tree that is obviously for healing, but also has a secondary function as a buffing tree. And the reason they're doing that, as they explained, is they want Favored Souls who want to focus on healing to have something to do in between healing. Because as a healer, you don't always need to heal. So for, say, you're running a quest on Epic Heart or something, and you're a healing focused Favored Soul, and everyone is a pretty strong character. You're not going to need a Favored Soul to heal everyone because you're going to blow through the content. So stuff like this gives a way for those type of builds to contribute and have something to do in between heals, or maybe you're just in a raid and you're healing and you have 10 seconds between every time you need to really concentrate on healing. So they want those players who are running these types of builds to have something to do. So this is one of those things, and there's more as we get down to the other tiers of the tree, but this is one of those things. So you can target an ally and give them a little bit of bonus to PRR and MRR. This is probably good for, say, you're healing a tank. Say you're running Fall of Truth or something, and you are assigned to healing the fighter or paladin or whatever class it is that is focused on tanking the truthful one, and you want to have something to do in between your heals, this is something that's good. It will give them a boost to PRR and MRR. Yeah. So it says it's a sacred bonus, so you'd have to see in terms of how things stack there. But I'm assuming that would stack with most things. Double check me on that, but I would assume that stacks with most available PRR and MRR bonuses. So it's good in that sense. It's something to do, and this one's okay, but I don't really like just how short the duration is. I would rather it be if they wanted to balance it, make it a smaller buff. If they wanted to keep the same power level, make it a buff that doesn't boost PRR as much. So maybe make it like half the favorite soul level, but make it last longer than 12 seconds. Make it 30 seconds or something, because 12 seconds is nothing. And the thing with these type of abilities is in DDO, we're already overwhelmed with clickies and temporary boosts and spells and just all these things that demand our attention. And every time they introduce a new ability like this that is on a short duration, it's kind of a diminishing returns type thing. It may be great in a void by itself, and I'm not saying this one's great, but an ability that's a temporary, just low time ability that only lasts 12 seconds it can be really great in its own void, just judging it on its own. But when you combine that in a real situation with all kinds of other boosts you need to be hitting, are you practically going to be using this when you've got a million other things you're trying to do while you're playing? Probably not. Is it going to be worth your attention and your precious time in critical raid situations or critical quest situations to actually use an ability like this that only lasts 12 seconds and is only a short, small boost to PRR and MRR? Probably not, because the times when you have time available to cast it, you're probably not actually in a situation that's difficult and hard enough to actually warrant needing it. So you're probably it's probably like the raid's probably going well if you have time to cast a spell like this, and you're not just running like everywhere like a chicken with its head cut off trying to raise everyone in sight. It's probably going well. If it's going well, you probably don't need a small boost to your PRR and MRR for your tank. So that's just my thoughts. I don't know. I think it's a good, just looking on paper, it's a good ability, but I just don't know that it's going to be that great in practice. So we'll see how it turns out, but that's my initial impressions. Okay, efficient power healing. I've never been a fan of these type of enhancements in the cleric trees, much less in this tree either, because it's even less important favorite souls because they have way more spell points. I guess you could argue that clerics save a lot of spell points by having aura and such, but in any case, efficient and power healing is not really that great. I don't think it's worth the benefits. Basically, if you don't know what it means, is it gives you a slight discount to the price of using the Empower Healing meta magic, and it's generally just not worth the action points. They're just better spent somewhere else rather than saving like a spell point or two for each casting of a positive energy spell. It just doesn't add up to much at the end of a quest, so I don't really like it. Spell critical chance positive +2, again another tier of this, and then you have a multi-selector for a boost to your wisdom or charisma stat. Okay, tier 4, Death Ward SLA, 4-second cooldown, and you can either have 10, 8, or 5 spell point. I don't know why you would take more than one tier of this. Like, why would you take 2 extra action points to reduce your spell point cost from 10 to 5? That seems really dumb. They should just take that out, because come on. I mean, that's not gonna be worth it for anybody. So I would just remove that. Just make it 1 tier. You don't need to have 3 tiers for this. But Death Ward SLA, okay. I mean, it's Death Ward. There's a lot of ways everyone can get access to Death Ward. There's, what is it? I think Tangleroot has a clicky that everyone can farm out. Favorite Souls already have the spell. There's a lot of ways to cast Death Ward. So it's okay. It's nice, I guess. It saves them a spell slot. I'll give them that. It does save them a spell slot, and that's good. But you can also save a spell slot by just farming out a Death Ward clicky. So it's okay. Hope for victory. Target ally gains a sacred bonus to melee and range power equal to half the favorite soul level, and universal spell power equal to your favorite soul level. This lasts for 12 seconds. So, okay. So very similar ability to what we just discussed in tier 3, which was the hope for protection. So it's another temporary buff that gives your your healing buffing type favorite soul character something to do in between heals. Okay, that's good, but the problem is, again, is it practical? I don't know. It's good. It's great to have a boost to melee and range power equal to your favorite soul level. That's really good. So if you're a level 20 favorite soul, that's a lot. That's a plus 20 melee and range power. For that, that's actually a lot, a very significant amount of melee power, and it's going to help your DPS out. But again, the problem is it only lasts for 12 seconds. And while it is powerful, I will if you combine this with say like some kind of a melee class that has a really high attack speed, you can really get some really good use out of it. I don't know. I think this one's a lot better than the PRR one. I'll give you that. But it's just an ability I find is not going to be useful in most situations. But I will admit that in certain rating situations, if you have really high DPS characters with really high attack speed that can really optimize that 12 seconds, it's going to be really nice, and it's going to give a nice bonus to group DPS. So you know what? Now that I think about it a little bit more, I'll take that back and take my criticism back. This is a pretty good ability. It's very solid. So if you want to actually be that favorite soul that kind of sits in the back and heals / buffs, this is probably I would say definitely your best buffing ability, because it really gives you a nice boost to some of your high DPS characters, and they're going to like this. And I assume this stacks with everything. Okay, Optimism. Each time you cast one of your hope abilities, you gain a stack of Rising Beacon, giving yourself +2 PRR, +2 MRR, and +1 AC. This stacks up to 10 times, and stacks fade once every 12 seconds. So that's good. It's giving you a little boost to your PRR and MRR when you cast buffs. So, okay, I mean, that's nice. It gives you an incentive to actually cast those buffs. So that's fine, I guess. Spell critical chance positive +2%. Again, and another Wisdom Charisma multi-selector. So let's move on to Tier 5. Tier 5, Raise Dead SLA, and we already have a True Res SLA in the level 20 core. So there's another Raise SLA. So it's always nice to have an SLA, save you some spell points, you get free Quicken, which is good, but I mean, it just seems redundant to me. There's so many ways to cast Raise Dead. You can use green steel clickies, you can use it with the spell that you have yourself. You can use scrolls. So I'm not sure that it's really that necessary. You already have tons of other raising abilities that are going to be better than this. You have True Res, you have regular Resurrection, you have True Res SLA, you have, again, scrolls you can cast. So I don't know. It's something, but I don't know. It's not a spell that you really want to have Quicken on. Quicken is, of course, you want Quicken on it, but it's not a spell that Quicken is super important, because you don't want to be raising Raise Dead in raids generally, or high tension situations, because where you really need Quicken, because monsters are attacking you and hitting you, and you need to get someone raised up quick. Raise Dead is not the best option, because in those tough situations, you want to use the raise spells that are going to bring people to full health. Like if you're in a tough raid and you're getting punched by monsters, you don't want to just use the Raise Dead. You want to use True Resurrection. You want to use Resurrection, because you're in a tough situation. And if you just raise them to 1/4 of their health bar, like with Raise Dead, it only raises you to 1/4 of your health bar. I think it actually might be a little bit lower than that, but whatever it is, it's a small amount of health, and they'll die again. Your ally will die again immediately. So it's not really that important to have Quicken as a free meta magic on here. If you want to raise someone for cheap, you can just use a scroll or whatever. Next is Hope for Success. Target ally gains +1 to critical threat range and multiplier with weapons for 12 seconds, 60-second cooldown. So again, along with the melee power boost, melee range power boost that we discussed earlier, this is a really good boost. Although this one has a 60-second cooldown, but the DPS is massive. I wonder if you can, I assume you can stack these. So if you can stack for 12 seconds Hope of Success and the melee power, that's going to be a plus. And someone correct me if you can't, for some reason someone tell me, but if you say you have like a really high DPS, like thrower build, or I don't know, like a monk or whatever, a fury shot or something, you can stack this buff, which is the +1 critical range, and multiplier, weapon multiplier with the plus 20 melee range power, melee and range power you get from the other buff to really give a big boost to DPS. And if you have someone with a really high attack speed, they can really take advantage of that. So this is really good. It's good. The 60-second cooldown sucks, but if this stacks with your other buffs, it's going to be really, really powerful. Even though it's only a 12-second duration, that's an okay balance. I still think I would have rather them make this a little bit, if they want to keep this the same power level, I would rather see them extend the buff to 30 seconds and then reduce the DPS benefits from it if they want to keep the same power level, because I still think 12 seconds is too short. It's so it just makes it really almost impractical to use in a lot of situations because it only lasts for 12 seconds. You're going to really need an organized party to really benefit from this, or at least have a really be really in tune with what you're doing. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they want these type of builds to have these specific short buffs, so they have to pay really close attention to casting these. Maybe they want that at the expense of casting other things, but I still would like to see this be at least like 30 seconds. And then, again, reduce the DPS benefits to compensate if you want. But 12 seconds still is a little too short for my taste. Okay, next, Heal SLA, 40 SP, 6-second cooldown. So this Heal SLA saves you a spell slot and saves you a little bit of SP because you get the free quickens and empower healing meta magics from having this as an SLA, so that's good. But other than that, there's no other benefits to it. I believe 6-second cooldown is the same as the heal spell. 40 SP is the same as the regular heal spell. So even though you do obviously, like I said, you get free meta magics, but it's just kind of save you a spell slot, and that it is what it is. Heal, great spell, obviously, but you already get it as a favorite soul, so you're just saving a spell slot. So next, Undying Beacon. Allies affected by your beacons gain unconsciousness range equal to 10 times your favorite soul level. This effect lasts for 12 seconds and is refreshed if the target is affected by another beacon spell. Okay, so that's nice. It's not that great because if you're in a tough situation, does it really matter what your consciousness range is? Because if you heal up to 1 health, if you sit there unconscious and you heal up to 1 health or whatever, you're going to die again anyways. I guess it gives you more of a buffer for someone to quickly raise you if you're unconscious, but I don't know. I've never thought this was like that great of a bonus, and when I've seen it introduced in the game in the past. But whatever, it's something. I'm curious to see how much it will cost. The last ability, which I think is the highlight ability of the tree, which is the favored soul version of Cleric Aura. It's called Wall of Healing. It costs 30 spell points, and you create a wall that persists for 30 seconds. Allies and undead in the wall take a cure moderate wound spell every few seconds. I'm assuming you can also apply meta magics to the spell, so it's going to, and your positive spell power, I'm assuming, will also factor into this. So it will be a nice little heal. Except unlike Aura that stays around the cleric, this will be just a wall that stays in one specific area. And I'm assuming it's going to look like when they call it Wall of Healing, I'm assuming it's going to be like Wall of Fire. It's probably going to look the same as Wall of Fire, except be like gold instead of red or yellow. And it might even have that glow that Radiant Servant Aura has. So that's pretty cool. It's worth noting that unlike something like Cleric Aura, you're not going to be able to keep this up at all times because it's a spell that lasts for 30 seconds. And it's an ability, actually. It's an ability that lasts for 30 seconds, but it has a 60-second cooldown. So be wary of that. You cannot have your healing wall up all the time. You can only have it up for 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So that's worth noting. It's not like Cleric Aura, where clerics can have their aura up all the time because it lasts for way longer than the cooldown. So that's worth noting. But it's definitely a really cool ability. It's going to help a lot with healing and Reapers. Reaper content, with raid content. You just throw Wall of Healing out in the front line where all the melees are beating on the raid boss or whatever, and they're going to get a lot of free healing, unlike Cleric Aura, where the cleric actually has to stand beside these people, like beside the melees, and put himself or herself at risk. I'm assuming that this will have a pretty good range where you can just cast it from a safe distance, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe they really nerfed the range on this so that a favorite soul just can't stand on the other side of the raid room and cast this right on the melees and have it persist for 30 seconds for free, like a healing AoE without the favorite soul being put in danger. I don't know. We'll see. They don't mention in here that I've seen the range. So that'll be really interesting. If this has a long range, it will be significantly better, I think, than if it has a very, very short range. So I guess overall impressions, as I said before, I do like what they've done with the tree, with the concept they've had. And while I didn't originally like the idea of putting a healing tree into favorite soul, a dedicated healing tree, as opposed to more of another offensive spell caster focused tree for favorite souls, I think what they've done with it is actually good in terms of differentiating it from Cleric Radiant Servant. It's good. It's more focused on buffing. They found a way to give them aura without homogenizing them with Cleric. Wall of Healing's a really, really good idea. Is it a super powerful tree that tons of people are going to be psyched about? People are going to be switching off of Angel of Vengeance just to take this tree? No, it's not that kind of tree. It's not going to be the most popular tree for favorite souls. It's going to be I still think favorite soul is going to be played primarily as an offensive caster class, but it is there to provide the niche. So if you want to focus on healing and you want that big SP pool, and you want some of these different abilities, and you don't want to run a Cleric, then this is the tree for you. If you want to splash into it to get some of the abilities, I don't know if it might be okay as a splash tree, but if you want to sit back and buff your teammates in a raid or something, this is probably their go-to tree at this point. So I think it's okay. Not everyone's going to be excited about it, but for the goals they had, I think they've done a good job of accomplishing them, of actually giving us a tree that's interesting and different. And in the age of Reaper with healing penalties, I think it's a good thing that they introduce more healing abilities like this into the game that promote more teamwork, that aren't just self-healing abilities, which I don't want to see. Like, the worst thing I'd want to see is them to, like, over the next few years, just introduce better and better self-healing abilities that basically undo the healing penalty in Reaper. That's what I don't want to see. So I'm glad that they're actually trying to encourage teamwork, definitely, by putting this tree into the game. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Tell me what you think. Be interested in hearing that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going into Lamania, maybe looking a little bit at this tree, maybe just trying things out on Lamania whenever that goes up. I think it should be going up pretty soon. So yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Take care.